good. So here we go. So what I want to do is I want to invite you on a somewhat crazy roller coaster ride of democratic experimentation. But before I do that, I have to say thank you to many people, because to do crazy things, you need, first of all, somebody to believe in you, that the crazy things can somehow work, or if you're going to break it, it's not going to damage the project. So first of all, I want to thank Zsolt, who believed my idea when we were actually writing the project, as we are bringing it to an end, that we need something audacious, which nobody ever did, and that's going to be this. And I don't exactly know how it will look like, but we definitely should try it. So thank you, Zsolt, for going with it. I think it was crazy. I realized it was crazy when we were supposed to actually materialize it, but I will show you how we did. So what we designed for the work package 11 was to really experiment, so not just take existing mini publics that people already tried, but play with the design and design something where we could test and see whether, for example, persuasion is possible under when we manipulate certain circumstances. So I will bring you through it. So I thank Zsolt. I have to thank to also many other people. So when you want to do these kind of experiments, you need money, because you need to have facilitators that are going to help you. I am a deep believer that if you want citizens' time and you want to have equal access, you actually need to also pay the people for giving you their time. So thank you to the Commission for the money, but you also need to have partners. You need to have local partners on the ground. So I will mention them as we go. And you need to also have a team of people who are willing to follow a crazy leader who tells them I don't know exactly where this trip is going to end, but I think we are going to make it, so please let's try to do our best. So Aleš is here, Jakub is here. There is when you are doing these kind of experiments, you have a huge number of, you have to protect, you have ethical rules, we worked with children, you have extra layers of things. And I also want to thank Aleš and Jakub, and one member of our team is not here, and that's Michal Malý, who invited us to his city where he comes from, to Liberec. So you can Google Liberec. It used to be called Reichenberg. It's near the Polish and German border. That's important. In a part of Czech Republic we call Sudetenland. It's a peripheral region, but it's also a city and a region where they already experimented a little bit with democratic innovations. So they already understood that we are not that crazy, and they would let us be in their city, because you then need them to, for example, let you have a local school on the weekend, so you can do your experiments there, because school is a very good neutral space to work in. And for our final one, we actually went bigger. We asked the local it's called Regional Scientific Library. It's beautiful building, and they let us have it for a whole weekend without much supervision. So it's really important, if you want to experiment on the ground, you have to build local relationships with local politicians, with local organizations. We hired for catering a local company that works with handicapped people. And one thing, if you ever want to do experiments, an important thing is not to feed your subjects a sugar-high diet. That was really important. So you cannot give them any sugary drinks, because it will negatively affect deliberation after lunch. So a lot of fiber, not so much sugar. So this is all the background. So what was our objective, the core research logic, and the scope? So we wanted to test whether deliberative fora combining information, facilitated discussion, and structured interaction can produce attitudinal effects relevant to illiberal dynamics. So what we were basically wanting to see, can people change their mind who hold illiberal position, when you provide them with some background information, civility, and facilitated discussion. So is it that they feel excluded, and when you provide them this inclusion space for discussion, does it work? So what we believe that illiberalism is sustained by ideological rigidity, polarization, and low trust. And we intervened in process of interaction, but not in the beliefs directly. So we didn't try to see, can we make people change their mind? And this is really something I want to like underline with a red pen. We wanted to see, can people themselves change their mind by interaction with other people? So the facilitators were, and that was really important to work with a company that provided us the facilitators to tell them, there is no, we don't want you to bring the people through facilitation to a certain point. All we want from you is, and that is really important because liberal democracy rests on the fact that the procedures are certain, but the outcome is uncertain. The outcome is in the agency of the people. So they will bring it to the outcome they want. So we did 3 deliberately different fora and tested different things, and I will briefly take you through them. As Danny said, take this as an appetizer. You can read. We have on each of these we have a nice deliverable that is showing you. So the first one was Ideological Opponents Forum. So in all the literature on deliberative democracy, they tell you, don't take people who hold strong ideological position, pro and against, because they are the least open to persuasion. They are already ideologues, and it won't work. And then they tell you also don't take very hot topics because it has a big conflict potential. So I am kind of the person who, when they tell you don't touch the stuff, I go to try. Why? They tell you not to touch the stuff. So we took ideological opponents and two highly salient issues based on the Outlib survey. And thank you, Marta, for running the analysis for that. We took migration as one topic, and as the second topic was a local topic to kind of work with our local partners, and that was taming of the local transportation in the city. So I believed migration is going to be the hot topic. Come on, migration is nothing. Yes, it is a very hot topic, but compared to local transportation, when you touch the parking spaces, there is a reason why Czech Republic has a party called Motorists for Themselves. So let me say that it's a full of research, full of surprises. So how do you actually find these people? Well, it costs money. You have to have. We worked with the Public Opinion Center in Prague, and they have found people for us who hold very strong for and against position on these issues. We then invited them to a local school. About 40 of them came. We separated them in 5 groups with facilitators. We first gave them in the morning. We worked on the transportation. They heard a little lecture, neutral one, informing them what is this issue about, and then they had a whole morning discussing this in the little groups with the facilitators. Then they, before lunch, came together and kind of say what they came up with. And after lunch, the same thing on migration. So, what have we found? Well, aside of the fact that cars are really important to people, I think that what was really surprising both for us and for our participants, and we had to inform them in advance that this is like forum of ideological opponents, that they are about to encounter people who hold completely different views, that it's going to be uncomfortable. All this is ethical procedures we have to do. So they actually complained in the end, was like, well, you said there will be like a lot of conflict, and it was everything like very peaceful. So what we found is it was very civil, the discussion, not just thanks to because it's hard to say horrible things into the eyes of the other people. But I think that over time they kind of eased into it, and when we in the afternoon sat and just observed the groups, the group where I was in, there was a one participant who was saying that the Ukrainians are diluting the Czech race. So I was like, on one hand, okay, Czech, we really have like a right-wing extremist. We managed to recruit a right-wing extremist, but it was interesting to see how others were reacting. What was very interesting is that the people are much more milder face-to-face. When you are then seeing the discussion, you are observing directly, and then see them responding in questionnaires. So how we measure the changes before we expose them to any interventions, we gave them one questionnaire. In the afternoon, at the end of everything, we gave them another. So what we found is that where change occurs, it moves from more closeness to openness. Participants initially very critical of migration are more likely to be moderate. So the people who are already pro-migration are not going to change so much the direction. And what was very interesting is there is no systematic age or gender effect. So there was a female participant who said that the Ukrainian women came to steal the Czech men. So I don't know. I'm just giving it to you as it is. So similarly, I have 2 minutes, 37 seconds, so I will just go to our last forum, and that was a youth one. We worked with 15 to 26-year-olds in the beautiful library of Liberec, and we focused on political efficacy, and we recruited the young people alone. So together with our partners, the high school parliaments of the region, we invited the young people for 2 days to the library. Well, they could go home to sleep, and we asked them to identify issues that are important to young people and that are not addressed, to prepare a presentation on to agree among themselves what these issues are, prepare presentation, and present this to the politicians and discuss it with them. So we also invited politicians to a passive role of sitting and looking what young people are thinking about the region and responding why the things are not happening how they should be. So we had 5 politicians, 3 of which were actually in the age gap or the age range of our participants. We had 3 local, 2 local politicians, 2 regional, and 1 member of the national parliament from the whole region that agreed to be kind of confronted with young people. It was very uncomfortable, even like just sitting and watching the politicians. They were put in a we basically took the agency from them and gave the agency to young people. We found again, here we found that core democratic attitudes remain largely stable across cohorts, and the younger participants, the younger they are, the more open they are to change opinion on policy issues. So policy preferences, they are very, very flexible in that, which is both a good news and a bad news, because that also means that disinformation, that the information they are exposed to really, really have a big effect. And the younger they are, that also means the less schooling, the more, let's say, socialization only at home. So we found that here the age was the strongest predictor of attitudinal change. Again, no systematic gender effects. We found that younger participants show higher openness on the policy issues. I will skip the practitioners of democracy. You can read about it in D11.2. And just go to the contribution and main findings. So we have found out that deliberation does not increase polarization or radicalization, but it also has only limited effects on taming it. So, the deliberative mini-publics are not a magical pill. Moderation is more likely among critics than supporters. So it's still, what I said, it's not a magical pill, but it does something, and it does something for people who are excluded. So it works on, it can make radicalization mild, it can lower radicalization, and it works for people with populist attitudes. They can lower them because you actually, what their attitudes are about, they are critical to the system, and you give them the possibility to actually influence something. Policy preferences are more flexible than democratic principles. That is a double-edged sword, I already mentioned. Information and facilitation condition outcomes, but do not guarantee change. So they are necessary. What was important, what was interesting on the ideological opponents, they completely believed the information on transportation. But I presented them, I prepared personally the presentation on migration, like showing them numbers from Czech Statistical Office, European Statistical Office, the world, global data, and so on, so on. And they were just like, well, these are fake data. Like, so that is really important, that areas where disinformation are at stake, the people are resistant to neutral information because they don't believe neutral information. We have entered the stage where knowledge itself is being questioned. So to be very brief, we think that we have contributed to how to respond to illiberalism. We have provided empirically tested, bounded intervention showing when and how democratic practice can reduce ideological rigidity and support democratic engagement while clearly specifying its limits. So we are still saying, let's do this, let's try to scale these experiments up, but let's be realistic what to expect. What these experiments are doing is broadening the public sphere, bringing people face to face. I still believe that this is very, very beneficial and important. People are going to be more civil face to face, and it's important to continue with this. So, thank you.